Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All you have to do is call us at 412-575-2600. Bob Pompeani with you until 11 o'clock tonight. We also join you on 93.7 The Fan. So if you're riding around, want to call in with your opinions, please do so. You can definitely do that again at that hotline number of 412-575-2600. Mike McCarthy will be introduced tomorrow at 2 p.m. as the new Steelers head coach. Wide variety of opinions about this hire, which is typically the case when it has a new head coach. There are a lot of people who like them. There are a lot of people who don't like them, regardless who it is. Pat McAfee made a point earlier today talking about Frank Signetti, and I remember when that was announced, people of Indiana wondered if they had lost their minds. And turns out 2 years later, not only is he the right choice, he may be one of the best coaches in all of college football right now. Same could be said of a lot of different positions with coaching. So here they are. The Steelers have done something that I think people on this show and other shows were asking them to do, and that is put an emphasis on offense. Mike McCarthy is all about offense. That's what he does best. He calls his own plays. He knows, I think, how to get the most out of people on offense. Now, he doesn't fit the profile of what a lot of people out there thought they would get, which would be a younger, up-and-coming defensive coordinator. To me, the coordinators, or whether you come from a defensive or offensive background, that's fine. You can be that expert, but you also need to hire other people and then delegate some authority in that direction. And I think Mike McCarthy will do that when he puts together his staff, which will be a very big thing for the Steelers. They've got to figure out who to bring in here. It doesn't have to be a whole bunch of people. People talk about the numbers of staff members. You don't have to have a record there. You have to have the best that you can find in those specific positions. And you may have to pay more to get them. And that's not uncommon these days. So Mike McCarthy knows offense. Whether or not he'll bring in an offensive coordinator remains to be seen. When this first was hired, I thought Nate Shieldhouse was going to be one of those guys, and still could be. He's interviewing for jobs. He did so in Cleveland. He will do so in Buffalo. He's a young guy who's never even called plays. He has been a pass game coordinator, and I think the next logical thing, if he doesn't get a head coach, is to be an offensive coordinator. But the question is, would it be here, knowing that Mike McCarthy likes to call his own plays? Probably not, but you never know how these things are going to get. The other thing, when this happened on Saturday, I think a lot of people were stunned how quickly it happened, because I think we all assumed the Steelers would go through the process this coming week with now guys who are having their seasons over, and Chris Shula and also Shieldhouse. But that never came to be, because they decided, and keep in mind, they did interview those guys virtually, so they had that under their belts. They decided to go there. I would have waited only and checked out for two reasons. Number one, Mike McCarthy didn't have many other offers, it seems, other than the Tennessee one, so they could have waited on this. And number two, just going back to the hiring of Mike Tomlin, originally, it did not look like it was going to go that way, but he went through a later interview and really blew them away and came away getting the job. And I don't think anyone there who gave him the job thought that he was a realistic candidate at the time. So it goes to show you that you could talk to people and you may find something else that you didn't expect. Whatever the case, they've made their choice. It's Mike McCarthy. He brings a wealth of offensive experience. I'd like to hear from you at 412-575-2600 on that. And this also applies to who will be the next quarterback. Aaron Rodgers has a history with Mike McCarthy, but, it's been, 1 year, a pretty good year for him. Can you expect that again next year? He's a year older. You saw against good pass rushes that that was his kryptonite. That was something that was not going to go over well, and it didn't in that Houston Texans playoff game. So Will Howard's here, Mason Rudolph's here. They can go out and bring in another free agent, a guy like Malik Willis. There's names out there that you can bring in. We'll see what they decide to do, because the quarterback position, even more so than the head coach, is the most important position on your football team. I think all you have to do is look at the teams that advance to Super Bowls, generally speaking, have the best quarterbacks, or at least the ones, who are going to can be considered elite and can get you into that game to begin with. We'll talk about that. And by the way, the Super Bowl is set for February 8th. It's a rematch of a game from 2015, I think it was, 11 years ago, when Marshawn Lynch was ignored at the goal line. Instead, it was Malcolm Butler came up with an interception on a Russell Wilson pass. Many people thought with 1 yard, give it to Lynch, let him go in, win the game. For Seattle, it didn't work that way. and Bill Belichick came away with that win. I think the final was 28-24. Also, I want to get your thoughts on the Penguins. This is a story that needs to be played up even more. Quite frankly, they are the talk of the National Hockey League. From where people thought they may be to where they are, they've just won 4 in a row impressively out the West Coast. And they scored the first goal in every one of those games. It kind of dictated terms. They're a stingy team to play against. They're doing everything I think Dan Muse would want you to do as a head coach. He's employed 4 lines. He's not shy about putting out guys, even if they haven't scored in a while. Like, for example, Ben Kindle. First-round draft pick, 18 years old. He saw enough in him to put him on the roster. He puts him in high leverage positions. He hadn't scored in 19 games, but he still got a regular shift. He was out there doing things, and it paid off in Vancouver, his hometown, the other night where he had 2 goals, including the game winner. Penguins are a big story. They got some great goaltending. I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. And do you think they are a legit playoff contender? Because I do. I thought at the beginning of the season they would make the playoffs. I wasn't sure if they can survive in the playoffs, but I thought they'd be good enough to contend in the Eastern Conference, where right now the New York Rangers have the worst record of all teams in the East. We're going to take a break, come back with your phone calls. It's 412-575-2600. We're live tonight on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night, and this comes from Sportsnet, and you can see a milestone for the Penguins trio here of Letang, Malkin, and Crosby. They are the 4th teammate trio in NHL history to play in 1,000 games together, regular and postseason. And you can see they're going to eclipse the next 2 pretty quickly here, and that includes the Blackhawks with Duncan Keith, Jonathan Toews, and Patrick Kane, where they were together. On top of that, and again, I think they'll eclipse these guys too, Dustin Brown, Anze Kopitar, and Drew Doughty with the Kings. So these 3 have been together, and unlike some of those guys you see mentioned on that screen, they are still very much productive. Both Malkin and Crosby are averaging a point a game or more. I think the Tang has been, what you'd expect from the Tang. A lot of good and there's some bad, but he's reduced the bad. And I think Erik Karlsson has done a very good job this year of playing a much better brand of hockey. So they got a good mix going over there, and a 4th line, which I think is one of the best in the NHL. So I want to talk about the Penguins. I want to talk about Mike McCarthy, and I want to talk to you at 412-575-2600. Let's get to the phone lines, and we'll begin with our number 1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night tonight, and that would be Dale in Mount Lebanon. Hello, Dale. What's going on?
Hey, Bob. Enjoy the show. Thanks.
For
taking the call. So you started talking about this already related to who the potential offensive and defensive coordinators may be. What's your take on that? What contacts does Mike McCarthy have still in the league right now that we might look forward to? And could we really hold out hope that one of them might know how to spell tight end?
Well, he learned how to spell tight end in Dallas, Dale. He did. At first, when he went there, he didn't utilize guys. He was more of a 1-2-3, top 3 passing game, targeted all the wide receivers when he was in Green Bay. He goes to Dallas. He discovered Dalton Schultz before he went to Texans in a free agent deal. And Ferguson has really emerged. And I think he's a guy who strikes me as he can see what he has, and he will adjust accordingly to what that talent is. Again, the big question is how much will he utilize an offensive coordinator? Who calls the plays? I suspect it'll be him, so that would maybe not include Nate Scheelhaus as an option. Defensively, and keep in mind, he's gone through 18 years of doing this. He has a lot of contacts. There are guys out there who he's probably dealt with who he would like. There are also probably guys who are on existing teams, and the Steelers may have to go through the process of asking for permission to talk to some of them, and we'll see where that takes them. But guys like Schwartz, Jim Schwartz, who was in Cleveland. Quinn was with him before he took a head coaching job in Washington. So he's had a lot of connections there. I'd be very interested to see who he brings and what caliber of coordinators and also position coaches, because that's just important in this whole transition as well. So it starts tomorrow. He'll address some of those questions at that press conference at 2 p.m. We'll have it for you on KDKA and streaming as well. Let's go to PJ in Canonsburg. Hey, PJ, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Just calling about the Mike McCarthy hire. I think it was a good hire. You have to trust the Rooneys. I mean, they've hired 3 Hall of Fame coaches already, and, they're bringing in McCarthy. He's not going to be here for another 15 years, so we can change after 5 or 7 years and get someone else in here and get someone fresh in here. And I don't know why no one is knocking down the doors with any of these other coordinators. The defense coordinator for the Rams and Shieldhouse. I mean, why are they skipping over the Rams offensive coordinator as well? Why isn't he getting any interviews?
Well, as I said, PJ, I thought they were going to get those guys in here this week. Shula did not have a good game yesterday as Seattle beat their, and that's a good Seattle offense. Boy, kudos to Mike McDonald, what he's been able to do. That was a hire 2 years ago where most people in Seattle said that's the wrong hire. I remember a lot of people this past offseason in Seattle said, what are they doing getting rid of Geno Smith? They're going to take 10 steps back. Next thing you know, they brought in a Sam Darnold, and you wonder if Minnesota's kicking themselves for letting him go after the year he had last year. But they chose to go with J.J. McCarthy, and they came away displeased with J.J. McCarthy this season. It's a really difficult thing to find the quarterback and the right coach to bring out the best in the quarterback. And I think number one issue for Mike McCarthy, and we'll find out more when he talks tomorrow, is his view of the quarterback room here, which right now is two guys, basically. It's Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. I would like to see Will Howard get a legitimate shot just to see what they can extract from him. How much is there? He won a national championship, and he did it at a high leverage program. So I want to see what he can do there with that. And if it's not him, he may have ideas of other guys he wants to work with or knows something about a player he can bring in here. So the number one task he has is to develop a quarterback. It may not be this year. It may have to go through a season where they're not, getting the kind of numbers they need. Maybe they have a better draft position in 2027, and they pick one there. I mean, there are a lot of ways they can go, but I don't think this is something that's going to be solved in 1 year. They can make strides in that regard. And I think he's going to be anxious to work with Will Howard. We have a couple of tweets here. You can hit it up on Twitter. It's at KDPomp. This is Repetchip, I think that's how you say it. Curtis is his first name. He says, my guess is this. Howard will start. If he plays good, you go forward with him and draft to need like we used to. If he doesn't, then you get a high pick or a higher pick. McCarthy can develop that quarterback the way he would like. That's also a possibility. You're in the situation, I don't think they're going to want to just go out and get another guy who's been around for a long time. Now, does that exclude Aaron Rodgers? I think that's going to be the number one issue. And quite frankly, I hope the Steelers, give Rodgers a deadline this time. They can't wait around until August or whenever he came in last year and give him all the time he needed. They need to make plans, and they have to do it, I think, rather quickly. That's fair for them, and I think that would be fair for him. And we'll see if that is something that he wants to do. But my guess is that Rudolph, Howard, and someone else will be here, and then may the best man win in the training camp and preseason games. We also have this from Robert Lamison, who says, do you think the Penguins should bring back Evgeny Malkin next year? Now, that's an interesting question because he seems to be more willing to do whatever it takes. I think, Robert, like a lot of people in sports or whatever job you have that you consider to be a good job, it's hard to walk away from it, especially when you're having fun. Malkin's made all the money in the world he needs. Is he having fun? Yes. Do you think he would? First of all, he's playing wing. He's really, kind of agreeable to just about anything they want, and I think that's something. Plus, he's playing at a very high level right now. He has a chemistry with Tommy Novak. I like that line together. If for the right price, for sure, I would bring him back, and I don't think money's going to be an issue with him. He just wants to continue, and I get that. Big Lou is in McKees Rocks, and now he's on the Sports Call. What's up, Big Lou?
Hey, good evening, Bob. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir. What's up?
On McCarthy, I was kind of surprised about the negative tone that was pervading the town after the announcement was made. I was listening to The Fan on the weekend when Starkey had his show, and then even Chris Muller wasn't too thrilled about the choice. But I think the Rooneys are smart enough to know that this team needs to go into a newer direction in terms of balancing the offense a little bit better. And first of all, I'm hoping that Aaron Rodgers, please, does not come back, because I'd rather see McCarthy work with some of the younger guys. And who knows, who's the quarterback, Bob, that's still out there? With Willis?
Malik Willis, yeah. Yeah, he could be,
Exactly. So I'm just hoping that Rodgers does not come back. But I think this is a good pick, and I think people should just have a little patience and see how it's going to work out.
I think people were okay with an offensive guy. They just thought it should be Nate Shieldhouse. But again, he's young, and he's not gone through what McCarthy has gone through. For better or worse, the Steelers do not want to throw seasons away. They want to figure out something to make them competitive so that they get into a playoff. And keep in mind, this team did win a division this year. You can tell me all the reasons why it happened, and I understand that, but they still won the division. So they have high expectations to get in there. Now, the results in the postseason have been terrible. There's no running away from that. The results for Mike McCarthy in the postseason have not been good of late either. It's a hard pill to swallow. But if you put these resumes next to one another, Tomlin, Harbaugh, McCarthy, Sean Payton, who I thought had a terrible game yesterday, they're all very similar, and they're all competitively good, but they're also lacking in some things. So, my guess is they're going to try to move on past Rodgers. That's what I would think. That's the best thing for now, I think. Maybe they'll think differently. We'll find out a little bit tomorrow. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. We'll talk about the Penguins coming up now at home against the Chicago Blackhawks on Thursday after winning 4 straight on the road. I do want to get more of your feedback about them and McCarthy or anything else you'd like to talk about right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, welcome back. We have a text here, or a tweet, I should say, from Comments Writer who says, I do want to see Aaron Rodgers. He played well this year. He's entertaining as well. If Mike only gets 5 years, start with Rodgers, please. We'll find out tomorrow. But again, my preference is to move beyond that because at some point there is a finality here with him. He's going to be 43 in the middle of the season next year. That's a tough one. But we'll see what he has to say. I think he would like to sculpt some of these younger guys and see what we can get out of them. In the meantime, let's go back to Bill on the line. He's from Peters Township. Hello, Bill. Now you're on the Sports Call. What's up?
Hey, Bob. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Hey, is it okay if I shift gears to a question about the Pittsburgh Pirates?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
With the new investments that the Pirates are putting in with the new All-Stars coming, developing the Connor Griffins and the Garcias, to ask you, no one knows sports better than you, will 39-year-old, and even though we love him to death, 39-year-old Andrew McCutchen, will he be in a uniform on opening day?
Bill, he certainly wants to. My guess is no. I think the Pirates probably should have made this clear or tried to get to the bottom of it a lot earlier than now. At the end of the season, they should have had discussions. I'm not sure if they did or didn't, but it sounds like they didn't. They should have communicated whatever their intention was because they were going to go out and get some, bats. We've all been calling for that. I think they still need more. But, with Brandon Lau and with Ryan O'Hearn, they have guys who can do, I think, what they've been asking Andrew McCutchen to do. My guess is he won't be, but I hope they certainly, cherish the legacy that he's left behind. They should. I think they've already tried to do that. We'll see. But that's one of the questions we'll be asking in the next couple of weeks when spring training gets going. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll do it again tomorrow night, 10:35 right here. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Have a good night. We'll see you on KDK Sports at 11 o'clock. Good night.